Hey there, island dreamers, locals, and anyone craving a slice of paradise. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Fun in Key West podcast, where the vibe is always laid back, the stories are salty, and the drinks, well, are definitely frozen. I'm your host, Michelle O'Connor, your unofficial tour guide to the Conch Republic. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth trip, or you're just daydreaming about trading the cubicle for the ocean breeze, you are in the right place. Here's the deal. This podcast is your insider's guide to all things Key West. We're talking where to eat, hello, conch fritters and key lime pie, where to drink, spoiler alert, there will be rum, where to stay, and all the quirky, wonderful things that make Key West the one-of-a-kind paradise we all love. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest happenings, festivals, events, maybe even the occasional Hemingway lookalike sighting. And just to keep things spicy, we'll be bringing on some amazing guests now and then, locals, business owners, and people who know the island like the back of their sandy hand. So grab your flip-flops, pour yourself a cold one, and let's escape to the island state of mind together, whether you're tuning in from your hammock or your commute, while wishing it was a hammock. We've got all the Key West goodness coming your way. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun in Key West. Let's dive in. Welcome to another sun-soaked episode of Fun in Key West, your go-to podcast for all things Key West, where the sunsets are magical, the seafood is fresh, and the stories are endless. I'm Michelle, your host, and today we are diving into a full recap of our recent trip to the Conch Republic. But wait, it wouldn't be a proper Key West recap without a very special guest. Joining me is my husband, Kevin, from Out Here Travel, who's here to share his insights, travel tips, and maybe even a few laughs along the way. From revamped airports to hidden gems, sunrise photography to key lime pie tours, we've got a lot to unpack. So grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's set sail on this Key West adventure.
Welcome to Fun in Key West, where every day feels like a mini fest. Grab a drink, take it slow. We'll show you where locals go. Food and stories to tell. They gems you know so well. You're when Tuesday. It's Fun in Key West. Every day.
Welcome to another episode of Fun in Key West. And as promised, I'm going to go through and do a recap of our visit to Key West. But I don't think that this would be a complete, absolutely wonderful episode of a podcast and a recap of Key West without including my husband, Kevin, who is with Out Here Travel. And so I am going to bring him on. Kevin, welcome
Hello.
to our podcast.
This is great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we ended up flying out of Pittsburgh International, the new Pittsburgh International. And it was an interesting thing. If you've not flown out of Pittsburgh since, I think it was November the 18th, it all switched over and you no longer take the tram to go out to the terminal. Any quick thoughts on the new Pittsburgh International?
Well, I think, the nice thing about it is we don't have to take the tram. It was just, I think we were on like day 3. We're used to going to the extended parking area, and then you take the escalator, takes you out to the old terminal, and then you go through TSA and then go downstairs. But now it's skip that. They have buses, the shuttle buses come around and take you right in front of the new terminal, and you just walk right in and there's TSA. So
the one thing I like about the new TSA is you don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to take your stuff out of your bag. And we found that to be true at Key West International as well. And so that made it so much easier and faster to get through. So we ended up with a direct flight from Pittsburgh to Key West. What were your first initial thoughts about the new airport there at Key West? Because we have not been there since it's switched over.
If going into Key West was always kind of like, it was like a small airport because you flew in, then you had to go down the stairs. They had some of the, we used to travel in with silver, so we always had the smaller planes in there. But again, even on the larger planes, you go through the, walk down the stairs and you hit the tarmac. You walk across the tarmac, and as you get into the first bottom floor there, they always had like the little characters up there. They had the southernmost buoy and they had the family sitting up there. And I always tried to take a picture with them, but everybody would be yelling at me, hurry up, come on, get through here, get through. So, I mean, other than that, I thought that was kind of cool for Key West, was unique with the smaller airport, but it was always kind of a cluster mess too. When you walked in, you had departing and arrivals all in one area. You're trying to get through to get outside or the baggage area. But yeah, but now we're hitting the big time.
Yeah. So you're right. We no longer walk out of the airplane and walk across the tarmac. You walk through, I'm going to call them gerbil tubes, but you walk through walkways that are all windows, and then it puts you back out into the main concourse. There's 8 gates, and I think before there was like 4, but now there's 8. So arrivals and departures are still all in the same area, but it's a lot larger, a longer area. So you're not going up and down stairs anymore. When you leave, when you're arriving and coming out and going into ground transportation, you still go down those escalators that we used to come up into, but that's how you get to ground transportation. So it's still small, so don't expect anything majorly large, but it's still small, but it allows for that larger amount of traffic that's now coming in and out of Key West now. We departed out of Key West and out of the airport, and we had like an 11:30 flight. What I found was there was only a few places open for food and drink, so the Conch Flyer obviously was open. The magazine stand where you get some of those last minute souvenirs was open, and Starbucks obviously was open. Yes, there is a Starbucks there at that airport. But but the other places that are usually open, that were open when we arrived, were not open. What I found interesting though is we arrived at like 10:30 in the morning and they were open, yet when we departed, they weren't. So I don't know if it was a weekday, weekend thing. Not sure how that works, but be cognizant of what food might be. You might have limited food options depending on when you come
Yeah,
in.
they had, what was the restaurant? It was the Chili's they have there.
Yeah, they have a Chili's now.
They
Yeah.
have a Chili's now right there. So you got Chili's and of course Starbucks. Everybody was rushing to Starbucks.
And they warn you if you're getting off the airplane to get your baggage, there is only 1 or 2 carousels still. And so as other airplanes are coming in, it only allows baggage to go around. I think they said 3 times and then they pull it.
They pull
So
it.
you
Yeah.
do not have time, and I said it clearly on the airplane, you do not have time to stop for a Starbucks. Go get your luggage if you had checked your luggage. Still, you have, I think, an extra TSA line versus what we had before. Again, the new TSA lines are a little bit faster with the new technology, but it's still recommended to get to the airport about an hour-ish before your boarding time. So not
Right.
2 hours, but, an hour-ish before boarding. We got there, had plenty of time, was able to get some breakfast before we departed.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of nice because I got my camera bag with me as my carry-on, and then I had my computer in it and carry bag. And typically they pull it apart and go through it. So now with the new X-ray machines, it was really nice. I was watching the guy, and it scans it, rotates it upside down so they can see everything in it. So that's cool.
it was. I always just say as people come off of the airplane, just head out to the departures and go out to transportation and grab a taxi. I don't think it's necessary to actually get an Uber and order an Uber. A taxi's going to get you there just as quick. They have a long line of taxis all ready to go. So you can do that. It was $18 to the southernmost beach resort. Did you
Yeah.
check and see what the prices were because they charge by zones? Did you check any of those?
I didn't see it on there. The van there didn't have it.
Right.
I couldn't see it, but usually it starts out at what, $10, and it used to be $20 in zone where it's downtown zone 2.
Something like that. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So it's always been around downtown, $18, $19.
It's a
$100
figure
bucks.
plus bucks to get
Yeah.
you where you need to go. So I think that that'll get you there. And so I think that that's close enough, I think. So we come in and we go to when we had the opportunity to stay at the Southernmost Beach Resort. I said on my live that this was a place that I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to stay at because it seemed to have more of a, I don't know, a non-Key West vibe. I know it sounds silly, but it seemed to be more of a, I don't know, stuffy. We're so used to staying at these small B&Bs and not really seeing a whole lot of everything else that's coming on that I think it was just kind of I was pleasantly surprised, very much surprised in terms of what I found there. It has that all-inclusive feel, which we've never stayed at an all-inclusive resort, so this was new for me, but it had that all-inclusive feel. They had activities throughout the day. You were able to check in seamlessly, and then you were put into a text message queue, and as activities were starting to happen, or there were activities that were starting to be changed, or something that was happening. We had a wedding that was occurring at the resort, and they let us know, hey, the beach is not going to be available, and the area by the Southernmost Cafe is not going to be available because there's a wedding. And they gave us the name of the bride and groom. So we felt like we were part of it, which I thought was really cool. But they had 3 pools there, a private beach, that pier that you see as you're out at the at South Beach. Of course, we unloaded our baggage in the room, headed out to the Southernmost Beach Cafe for our first stop, which is usually always for a fish sandwich. So what were your initial thoughts, and tell me about the fish sandwich?
Well, I thought it was great. I was surprised. That complex is on 6 acres. When
Mhm.
they said 6 acres, I didn't know, and that's like 3 blocks.
Mhm.
So they have 3 different sets of buildings out there, plus the cafe itself, and that's always been a stop for us. And and it was great. It was because typically I do sunrise, and we'll talk about that sunrise photography, and that's one of my areas that I hit on. So I'm used to taking the bike out early in the dark morning and running out there. But this time, that's kind of one of the things I said, let's stay down here at the southern end so I can do the photography as well. So it was a nice, very nice complex. The staffing was all friendly. And then, as Michelle said, they have daily activities. They have a whole list of various activities. So you can actually just stay there. They got pool bars, of course. And then they do games, various games. They had a trivia game. They had the conch shell blowing contest.
Mhm.
We were never there at 4 o'clock on that end of the.
They had the
So
rum runner class that you could learn how to make a rum runner. We missed that one.
we missed that by a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of activities there, and there's music that starts both pools. They have a tranquility pool, which is it's a smaller pool with no music, no
Mhm.
games, just for you to relax at. If you just wanted that, you didn't want to get around the pool bar areas, but they do have 2 live music events, both going on. It started about 1 o'clock, I think. And
And
then
they
went
were
on for
all
the day.
great. I mean, the music
Yeah,
was great.
yeah, it was really good.
And so normally you're up long before the sun gets up and hopping on a bike and heading down to that location to do sunrise photography. What was it? Yeah, obviously you just stepped out because we were able to have a room that had a balcony with a partial ocean view. And I shared some of that with the community, and it's going to be a part of all of this that we're putting into a blog post that we're all going to have links and pictures to and everything. But we were right there. I mean, you almost didn't have to leave the room to see sunrise.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, if we just walked out, you were taking pictures of it. I mean, if we're just going out the
Mhm.
room and just up the hallway, exterior hallway was opened, and we're right next to the reach. And I like going out to that. There's a little, if you come down the street, I get out in the beach area between the 2 resorts, the reach and the southernmost point, and I walk down there. and they've got that little bungalow building coming out of the reach on a little pier area. And I always like that to take pictures with a cool background. So that was nice for me. I didn't even get on a bike
No,
this
you
week,
didn't.
that weekend. No, because
Huh?
I usually get on the bike, and then after I take the pictures, I usually travel. I take the bike out and go around the whole island. It's about
Mhm.
9-mile trip. So I didn't do it this time, but it was nice for me because I was like, get up, and I didn't have to spend 20 minutes. I had to pedal around. A lot of times I go out to Smathers Beach, Higgs Beach, White Street Pier. It really depends on the time of the year and where the sun was coming up. And this year, it was right there. So I had a great
Yeah.
access right there, the resort. And then sunset we were over on Maori Square for the sunsets. But yeah, that was fun for me.
Yeah. And this was what amazing point for me, and it actually proves that the Southernmost has that all-inclusive feel. That pier that you see when you're at South Beach, that belongs to the resort, and people were out there in their bathrobes,
Yeah.
cups of coffee, watching the sunrise. That's how inclusive the resort feels when you're there. So that was really cool. One of the other things we liked about it was at night we came back, and of course it's dark at, I don't know, 5 o'clock. It feels like it's dark at 5 o'clock, but I know it's not. But when we came back, you're at that southern end and you're actually able to see the stars. And we're not used to that because we normally stay a little bit farther up. And we were able to see the stars and the water and walk around, and that was really cool.
Yeah, that was nice. I was able, because if you look out past the pier, you got the shorelines, you can see some of the lights, but as you looked right out directly, man, it's dark.
It's dark. It's dark.
A
Yeah, it was
cloud
really
It's just a cloud of darkness, and we're like, well, you figure Key West is out in the middle between the Gulf and the Atlantic.
yeah. There's
But
no square.
it looks dark, and we saw a few boats out there. I think there were some shrimp boats out there. You
Mhm.
could see them cruising around, but that was cool, and I did take a couple pictures of the stars, so
Yeah.
I'll have to try that again next time. It's the first time I ever tried doing that out there.
Yeah. That was really fun. And if you're watching us live, let me know. I see there's a few people on here, but if you're watching us live, say hey. We'll do a shout out. The other thing that's interesting, if you have not been to Key West for a while, or have been starting to see some photos of the southernmost buoy, it's not in its normal location. The foundation on which the southernmost buoy sits is starting to wear away and erode because of the water and the hurricanes and all of that. So they're doing some repair work. They have the original buoy still there. It's all boarded up, but they've relocated a replica, a little bit smaller one that you can go out there out by the Southernmost Beach Cafe out on by South Beach and get your photos done. And I did a full walkthrough on that. But that was really an interesting perspective. We seem to see a lot more people there earlier than normal. And I don't know if it was because it was easy to get to or if that's because the shop opens up right there at 7 a.m. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of people walking around, and that little the Southernmost Cafe does have a nice little coffee bar in the
Mhm.
morning time. So I know everybody goes across the street to, what's the name of that little key?
Anna's. They go across the
Yeah,
street to Anna's.
they go to Anna's, but and if you have a long line, just zip around the corner at the park, the Southernmost Cafe. It's great,
Mhm.
great coffee
It
that
was
they
really
have.
good.
Yeah, so that's where I sat, and I've done that quite a few times too. Instead of standing in line over at Anna's or going back downtown to Cuban Coffee Queen, I usually run in there and get a coffee and sit there because they get chairs, and it's nice just to watch the beach and the waves. And
Yeah, they do have a nice setup there.
yeah,
And you and I were talking about this. There are a lot more options for coffee this time than there seemed to be in the past. So Cuban Coffee Queen has a new location down towards the southern end on Duval, as well as their one over at Key Lime and then their original over there on Caroline. You also have Black Rifle Coffee right there at Truman and Duval. And you went in there, and what do you get when you go to Black Rifle?
I get their energy drink, the zero sugar energy drink. That's what I get from them.
Yep. So they
It's
have
good.
that.
Yeah.
And then across from the southernmost, you have Anna's. down by Sloppy's, there's several locations. So you're never going to be at a loss to find coffee. Certainly, I'm going to have to update a few of the posts to say, hey, there's more than 5 places to get coffee
Yeah,
here.
and that little cafe, that little bakery that we walked by on Duval Street.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You can smell the coffee.
you can smell that. Yeah, smell it in the little pastries that are in there. And that place was busy every morning we walked by there.
Yeah, this is the place across from Banana Cafe. It's called El Grino, and they tout themselves to be the biggest bakery in Key West. Everything's fresh baked there, and they're open till what, 2-ish or something like that?
I think 3.
Yeah, 3. They
Or
have an
4.
outside patio for breakfast. You can go in and grab your coffee, your pastries, and all of that, and they do breakfast, lunch. So, yeah, you could smell the coffee when you walked by. Now, we did do a few new things just for because we should, and we did. We found a new brewery, and it opened actually almost 2 years ago, and we've walked by it multiple times, and it's on Front Street,
Front Street.
and it's by what used to be the old Rum Barrel. That two-story place used to be the old Rum Barrel, but it's tucked back in there, and it's the Southernmost Brewery. What were your thoughts about the Southernmost Brewery?
Well, I had to bring home a little souvenir from it.
There you go, you did.
I did. Yeah, I'm the guy taking stuff. It was pretty nice. I think they had probably 8 or 9 different beers on tap. Good selection. You notice I think there was half the group in there was probably locals that
Mhm.
were in there coming in, but they had a good selection. Nice IPA. They had a light beer in there. They had a dark beer if you like a stout. Or I think they had the Scotch ale on there.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that was nice because you can't find Scotch ale around very much. But it was just it's a small batch. He brews it in the back of the building. One barrel systems that he has there. So it seems pretty popular. So we stopped in there as we were going down to A&B Marina.
And they
The
had
the
a
harbor.
nice outdoor space, so if it's not
Right.
blazing hot, you can sit outside.
You can sit outside. They have cornhole out there.
Mhm.
You know, if you're with a group, if you want to play cornhole, there's a place there. And the way the building is, it's U-shaped. So as you walk back in there is a little bit more shade, and they did have canopies up
Mhm.
out there, so you sit, and it looks like they do bring in music as well at times. It wasn't there when we were there. We were mid-afternoon. We stopped in there after 3 or 4 somewhere in there. But
And they
it's
do
right
have
next.
things other than beer, so if you were looking for a seltzer or something like that, they do offer that.
Right. Yeah.
So
So
and they also had a food menu. What was on the food menu? I don't remember. Do you
I didn't look.
They have food. They have I'm gonna go with they have typical bar food, but they have food.
I was just looking at we were talking with a couple people in there as well too, but I was just kind of looking at the sampling of the few beers they have. So
Yeah.
I'm an IPA guy. So browns and IPA and a little bit of stouts.
And I am not an IPA girl.
No, you're not.
I am not.
You're not hoppy.
I'm not hoppy. That is
Not
true.
hoppy.
One of the other things we did is we went on a new tour, and it was the Eyewitness Crime Tour. And I'll put some links to everything that we're talking about below. And if you want to ask questions as we're chatting and doing our recap, let us just throw them in the comments there, and we'll see them. But the Eyewitness Crime Tour is sponsored and hosted by and Kim there, who has been doing tours for a very, very long time in Key West, was our tour guide. And I don't want to give too much away, but the idea of the tour is, and you guys know that I do Historic Marker Monday, so I know a lot of the stories about Key West, but Kim did a lot of research, and this tour takes you, it's about a 90-minute tour, and you go about 6 blocks, so you're really not walking a whole lot. But she takes you through the stories and the crimes, not too bad of crimes, but the crimes of Key West and stories you probably have never heard of, or it's new stories. Because if you go on a lot of these tours, you're seeing or hearing the same stories again and again. And I think she did a really good job of finding tours and stories that aren't necessarily ones we've always heard. What was your takeaway?
Oh, I think it was great. And there's so much history in Key West that a lot of characters along the way, quite a few. So it's just a different take. I mean, we've done the ghost tours,
Mhm.
quite a few different ones. We've done those a few times, but it's a nice twist. If you've done the ghost tours, you got the food tours as well too. With Kim wants to try something different, add another, and she's a very good storyteller.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then we met her for lunch, and it was one of the stops on the Key Lime tour. So they do the Key Lime tour in Key West, and I forget there's 4 or 5 stops that she does, and it's a tasting of key lime pies.
Mhm.
And what we all know is there's a basic key lime pie, but then everybody has their own twist to the key lime pies. And so she takes you to these places that you may not think about for key lime pie. And I think we were pleasantly surprised. And I would say more than pleasantly. I was absolutely surprised at the place we ate for lunch because we had never thought of it for key lime pie. And it's on the tour. And I'm not going to tell anybody, but what was your thoughts on
Yeah,
that key lime pie?
yeah, it was killer. It was great.
Hmm.
So everybody has a different twist on it. I think on this one, I was real surprised the flavoring of the crust that they use.
Mhm.
And it's been a person that's the chef there. So he's got his special recipes that he's using on it. So we're not going to give it away right now,
Mm-mm.
but it's a place that you walk by, and a lot of the locals go there as well too.
Mhm.
It was very nice. It was very good. Yeah.
And it was a place that normally you go for breakfast. I
Uh-huh.
mean, that's where we've always been to it. We've never really been
Right.
there after then for breakfast. So it was neat seeing what was available during lunch and dinner and then having the key lime pie. So that is a tip that I'm going to hand out to everybody. If you go to some place consistently just for breakfast and and they're open beyond breakfast and lunch, try them for dinner or try them for a late lunch and try the different side of the menu. There's a few places, a lot of people go to the Blue Heaven just for breakfast, but they have
Mhm.
an amazing dinner. Breakfast Club 2 offers breakfast and lunch. They're open until about 2 or 3-ish. So you're not going to go for dinner there. But if you only have breakfast, expand the palette there. Pepe's is another one. Most people go for breakfast, but they
Right.
offer a great dinner. Give
I'll
me
just say,
a
I'm going to go back next time. Go
I
get that
do.
key lime pie.
Yeah, that is definitely on my list. I wanna think we could get it for breakfast. Think we could get it for breakfast?
Probably. I would
Probably.
imagine. Yeah.
There's no there's no judgment on having key lime pie for breakfast.
No.
So, out of here travel, give me a little bit of tell us about out of here travel.
Oh yeah. Out of here travel. So Michelle, we had the Fun in Key West. It's been going since probably around 2013,
Mhm.
14, somewhere in there. Time goes by. We started our travel company back in 2018, full service travel. And then we were rolling until about 20, when COVID hit. And then the whole industry, everything shut down worldwide. So we ended up just put the travel agency on hold because nothing was really going on for 2 years on that. And last spring, we decided to reopen it.
Mhm.
And just because of complementary with the Fun in Key West, but also we've had other clients calling us that we're working on it. And kind of our target market that we're looking for is travelers 50 and above, the empty nesters, your retired, our age group that we have, basically, that we hang with. But I think from stress that like a step process that we do, we want to have communication. Just call us that we could have a conversation, figure out what your travel goals are. Where do you want to go? We put itineraries together for you, and then you can go. Some of the areas we're looking at, we do have a house in Orlando. So Disney adventures, Disney products, theme parks in Orlando. And we met somebody in Key West, and she thought that we should start a fun in Orlando because a lot of the people that you say in the island people down there, the residents, when, if you have hurricane warning, that won't talk it very loud. Everybody has to go south, and a lot of them do head to Orlando area and theme parks. And a lot of them, that's where they go to, and they meet families as well too in the Orlando area. But we lived up in Alaska, so I'm specializing in Alaska cruising. So if you want to take a cruise or land tour to Alaska, I'm
Mhm.
specializing in that area. and Ireland as well too. So it's like those are some of the areas we can do cruising, and we looked at Key West and promoting Key West as well too as a destination stop. So 3 days we were there, we had Celebrity Cruise Line had 3 ships that
Right.
came in. They were on that's part of the Caribbean cruise line for them. The routes that they're doing, they're either going down to Mexico or down to down in Aruba. And then we also saw American Cruise Lines was in there too, the American Legend. And that's a small boat that came through there. And they're running it comes out of St. Pete, Florida, goes into Marco Island, then out to Punta Gorda, comes down Punta Gorda around, then goes down to Key West. They spend the night in Key West. Then they take a float plane out to Dry Tortugas and then go back up. So I think this month there's probably, you got a variety of cruise ships that are coming down. We got Virgin's coming in this month. Margaritaville has a couple ships coming in, Carnival, Holland America, and then Celebrity. They're just on a 7-day rotation. Seems like they're coming in. But we're available to help anybody. If you want to take a cruise, you want to take like American Cruise Lines, those are small boats. I was sitting there at Mallory Square talking to a couple, and they were there. They loved it because it was only less than 200 people on a boat. Every stateroom is a balcony. And it's pretty much the age group is 50 plus on those boats. But they like it. It's small. They maneuver around the different coastal areas, and they bring in historians as they're sitting in there, bringing people to talk about the area, the town, and then you have your shore tours as well. So the American Cruise Line is great, and they go all over. I think that couple said they went up to Maine. This is like their 3rd cruise on American Cruise Line, and they do a lot of the river cruising up and down the Mississippi, the Ohio. Out of Pittsburgh, you could take the ship out of Pittsburgh, and then it goes through the Ohio River and goes out to St. Louis, and then stops along the way. If you enjoy history and just want history tours and everything, that's great. And just a casual, just relaxed time together, the American Cruise Line's a great place to go. So that's what Out of Here Travel is, what we're up to.
Cool.
Anything? Yeah.
Out of Here Travel, OUTAHERE, OutAHereTravel.com. And so reach out to Kevin. If you own that Fun in Orlando website, I'd love to have it, but I ain't paying you $7,000 for it. I looked it up. It's a premium one, but I would love to have Fun in Orlando. So if you own that, let me know. We're going to end up here in a little bit. I'm going to go through a few more things, but we're going to talk about some of our favorite things, our top list. And so I'm going to do lessons learned here real quick, and then I'm going to have Kevin start us off with his favorite, and then we'll tag team back. But first, talk to the folks there that run the trolley tours and the conch train. Conch train no longer does hop on and hop off. A lot of that is because there's less of them running because they have less drivers, but you hop on, you do the tour. It's a little longer than an hour, maybe an hour and a half-ish, depending on your tour guide. So that is not a hop on, hop off anymore. Hopefully they'll be able to expand back to the regular number of drivers and do that. But again, it's still fun. I think it's the Jungle Cruise of Key West. So if you love the Jungle Cruise and Disney, you will love the dad humor and the dad jokes out of the conch train. The trolley, though, does allow hop on and hop off, but there are fewer stops. There used to be 15 stops. There's now, I think, 13-ish stops. So there is the ability to hop on and hop off if you want to do that. Another thing that I always try to get people to use is the Duval Loop. And for a while there, the city of Key West had a grant that allowed people to ride the Duval Loop for free. And then they lost their funding, and then it was, I think, $1 to ride the Duval Loop. Starting January 1 of 2026, the Duval Loop is actually stopping service and will no longer be available. The stops will still exist, and so you just go on to the city of Key West. There is an app you can download, and it's a ride-on-demand service through the city of Key West in their bus service. So there still be there, but you'll just be part of that ride-on-demand service. Fares are based on age and all of that, so be sure to check that out. One other thing that we noticed, and if you have not noticed this or been in there lately, you will be a little bit surprised. So Kermit's Key Lime Pie Shop actually was sold a couple years ago to the company out of Savannah, the Bird Cookie Savannah Company. So it's BYRD Company. And when you walk into Kermit's Key Lime Pie Shop there over on Elizabeth Street across from the Conch Republic, you will notice a difference if you have not been there. In the back, the koi pond is now seating, and there aren't as many key lime tastings or products. So be aware of that. And they've changed the look of it. And there are several other locations along Duval that are now mirroring that because that is corporate. What are your thoughts on the new Kermit's Key Lime Pie Shop?
We used to have more samples. He'd go there, and Kermit himself, just to see him standing there with his pie in hand, always talking to everybody and bringing. I miss him. Yeah. And actually found out he's born and raised in West Virginia. So that was fun. Every time, that was always a treat to see him out there. We'd always sit and talk with him. And I think his personality, I miss all that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But we're going to end on a happy note. So we're going to go through top 10 things we still love about Key West. It could be a place, it could be a vibe, it could be whatever. So I'm going to have you kick it off. What's number one for you?
I think number one for me is the vibe. I still enjoy it. Just coming down, everybody's pretty friendly. The people you see, I talk with a lot of people, could be in the restaurants, the bars, or out taking photography or whatever. But I think everybody seems to be happy. It's just a place to go to so for me, number one, I love going there. It's just the vibe. It's a place you can sit back, relax. I'll go with that.
I'll agree with that. Vibe, all of that. I'm still loving Conch Republic Seafood Company happy hour. And it's not necessarily because it's a buy one, get one for the drinks, and you get those little coins and you can give your coin. There, you got your coin.
The coin I always bring one home with.
Item.
That means I got to go back.
Yep. But that's still one of my favorite places. You have to be seated at the bar to get the happy hour pricing. But we get a half pound of Key West Reds, and they're off menu. I think they're better than the Key West Pinks. They have that more meaty flavor, more lobster flavor. So to me, nothing beats happy hour at the Conch Seafood Republic. So next on your list.
I think seafood in general. Because that's typically what I eat when I go down there is the fish of the day specials. So I think we had at the Southernmost Cafe. We stopped in there. So we got in there. We hit it about 2:00 by the time we got settled and everything. And I had the fish of the day was mai, and that thing was a big piece of fish. The thing was like that thick.
Yes.
And it fills up the bun, and you could tell it was fresh. So, and as Michelle said, we hit like the reds, the sharp. So again, for us, it's typical breakfast stuff. But again, for lunch and dinner, we're always hitting the seafood because it is fresh. I mean, you can't get that back here in West Virginia at all. So that's my number. So where we're on number 3, the food.
Yep.
And there's many places that we hit on.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that still is one of my favorite things to do is my morning walk. Although I was surprised, I'm up and I was live and and it's over on our YouTube channel, but I did a live walk all the way from the Southernmost Beach Resort all the way down to the end of Duval. I was surprised at how many people were actually out on a Sunday morning when I did the live. And so, but I still find that a lot of you're up. It's not too hot, especially if it's a summertime visit. Usually not crowded. Nothing's really open. If we're walking down Duval at 6:30 in the morning, nothing's open. But I still like that. I like the vibe, and you start seeing the boats going out in the morning, and when you get down to the water side, I still like that. What's your next one?
My next one is I'm a sunrise person. I'm a photographer, so I really like it. The vibe. Like I say, this time I was right there at the beach. So I just had to put my flip flops on and go outside, and I was right there. But the beach was really nice. I take a lot just sitting on the beach. So that's me. I like it's the start of the day. The sun comes up, you get going, and now I'm jazzed up, and now I can
Mhm.
do whatever we need to do for the day. But that's sunrise is great. And you have a lot of places to go to. Like I say, southernmost Smathers Beach is a great area. Higgs Beach, depending on where you're at. White Street Pier, a lot of people walk out there. They go get a coffee. If you're downtown, if you're taking an Uber or a cab, they'll drop you off and then go sit there. They got benches out there. And a lot of people sit out there or take their bikes and then watch it. It's as much on that particular place. Just as almost, it's not as busy as the sunsets at Mallory Square, but a lot of people do come out. So that's what I enjoy doing. Mhm.
The next on my list is I really like just the vibe of being able to people watch and listen to music. So my number one place for people watching that we did this time, even though it was scary as hell, is the Whistle. You made me go up to that second story and sit out on that balcony. And I think I asked you multiple times, how often do you think they inspect this? But we met a fifth generation conch sitting there, and it's just a great conversations and just people watching and the silly things that they're doing. I think that is still fun and something that is always on my bucket list. And then, of course, heading over to Vino's for a glass of wine, enjoying that front porch, or at least even just sitting at the bar and looking at all the decorations that you see there along the way, along the walls and on the ceiling with all the corks. And then I think ending the night, because we're walking that direction, at the Tipsy Rooster. And that's a place that a lot of people don't go to very often. It's a really small, vibey place. Beach
And
floor is a sandy, yep, Tipsy Rooster. It's a beach.
I'm the collector of stickers.
It's a it has a sandy floor. You sit out there. It's a liquor store and a bar, and they brought in a guy that absolutely can just play music. He was really good. So I think that's one of the things that I still love and think that brings a lot of people to Key West is the ability just to experience different aspects of nightlife and people watching and music.
He even played country roads for us. It was
He
cool.
did.
He
I
did.
don't think he
And we-
realized that we were from West Virginia, but
I
there
didn't have
were
my
multiple people. There was another table there from Morgantown
from
because of that.
Morgantown. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were on our
So
flight. So that was fun. And so, what's another one of yours?
it's kind of like when you do your historic Monday tours. I love walking through the neighborhoods and looking at all the historic homes. You got the eyebrow houses. You've got all sorts of different. The architecture is always cool. I take pictures. Again, I'm a photographer guy, so I'm always down around the Fleming streets, the Gunnels down in those areas. But if you're coming into Key West first time, start walking down in the neighborhoods and
Yeah.
you see a lot of the homes that were, plus the foliage. You have so many varieties of different trees, the orchids, and just a lot of plants. It's pretty cool. It's that tropical vibe. To me, as I'm walking through there, you get the tropical vibe of old Key West is
Yeah.
what it is. So that's one of my favorites, just walking through. Everybody kind of staring at me sometimes because I got my camera with me.
Yeah, I know every time
Yeah.
we take a few
Yeah.
steps and we take another picture, and we take a few steps and we take another picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're watching us live and have any questions, let us know. We're going to start wrapping up here, but
What else we have? We did our cemetery walk this time.
oh yeah, yeah, we did. I know it sounds creepy that you get excited about walking through a cemetery, but it's an interesting cemetery. A lot of history. And it's not in its original place. It had to be moved, and because of a hurricane, the great Cuban hurricane, the Havana hurricane that came through, actually uprooted the last the other location of the cemetery, so it had to be moved here to the highest point in Key West, which I think is what, 16 feet above sea level,
Right.
if
Yeah.
that.
If that.
But it's really fun to walk. I mean, you would be surprised how many people just walk through the cemetery or bike through it. We saw a lot of people.
There was quite a few in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that if you follow our Historic Marker Mondays, you're going to see a lot of the names there because a lot of the founding fathers and the families all are still there. And so you see a lot of them still there.
One thing we didn't do this time is we didn't do a sunset sail.
No, we didn't.
We didn't go out. We were looking at it. We were looking at probably doing America 2.0, but we didn't get out there. So I guess we have to go back again. But I think,
Hard. We'll have
but
to
for anybody going down to Key West, I always tell them, get out on the water, do the water activities. You got the sunset sails, you got the snorkeling, you got the glass bottom boat. And I enjoy water too. Typically I like to go out fishing. That's what I do. I do the backcountry fishing. I think that's fun. Deep sea trolling fishing. I've done that quite a bit. And I catch maui all the time, but I can't.
take it out.
I always have to give it to the boat captain,
Yeah.
the boat crew, what they do with it. But the fishing is great. If anybody loves to fly fish too, you got your tarpon, bonefish, tarpon.
Mhm.
So it's fun to get out there. I enjoy that. So fishing's good. But think about getting out on the water as an activity when you go down to Key West.
Yeah, we need to do that next time. Take people out with us and bring them along.
Bring them along.
Bring them along. From an out of here travel perspective, anything else we want to let them know?
Well, I tell you right now, if we're Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday. So there's Black Friday sales about every cruise ship company, a lot of companies, tour companies, and a lot of them, they started probably about, some of them started early November. And a lot of them are going to go like this next week, between now and next weekend. So if you're thinking about it, you don't have to deal with me, but if you have people, or if you're planning where you're going to go, get online, look it up. There's a lot of BOGO specials going on right now. So this is the week for doing that. And again, we always promote. Yesterday was Small Business Saturday. We always promote when people go on tours is look at the smaller companies, the small guys, independent businesses out there that our tour guys can take you out fishing, or they can take you out flight seeing. If you go to Alaska, they're helicopter pilots and plane pilots, and target some of those guys because they depend on the tourist industry pretty heavy.
They do. Yeah, and a lot of the tour partners that I work with in Fun in Key West over on our website, you're going to see those are a lot of the smaller tour companies. And so we're really supporting the local folks. I'm going to put a link to how to get a hold of Kevin at Out of Here Travel in the show notes, as well as a link to Tart Tours and how to connect in on that key lime pie tour so you can figure out where that pie that we are going to go back and have for breakfast is, as well as check out that new tour, the Eyewitness Crime Tour. And I think that was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
And I do think it was a lot of fun. I think overall, Key West is still one of my favorite places. Obviously, I do Fun in Key West, so it would have to be. But I think it's someplace that offers something for anybody. If you want the party atmosphere and all of that, you're going to stay down on the other end of Duval. You're going to be next to Sloppy's and Irish Kevin's and Rick's and the Tiki Bar. And you're going to have all of that. It starts early. It goes most of the evening. You can hit Sushi Song there on Truman and Duval for, I think, sushi up until 4 or 5 a.m. So there's always something. You can hit Mr. Z's there on Fleming for a slice of pizza on your way home. If you want the quieter end, and this trip, we really enjoyed being on the quieter end. And it didn't.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. I liked it.
And I guess the one thing I'll have to admit, we did like that resort, Southernmost Beach Resort. That's great. And if you have anybody coming into town or coming in for Key West, look that up. That was really high class. It was very nice. I'd like to do it
Um,
again for
and
sure.
we're going to be working with them to get a link so that we can help you guys get bookings and get you pricing and all of that. So stay tuned for that. Those links will be in there as well. But in the meantime, thank you so much for stopping by. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions, but I appreciate everybody stopping by for our recap of Key West. Thank you for being part of our community and checking it out. And in the meantime, if you come up with questions, feel free to either DM me or Kevin over at Out of Here Travel. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was great.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Take care.
So to Fun in Key West, I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the sights, sounds, and flavors of the Conch Republic. Whether it's the sunrise views, the seafood feasts, or quirky local tours, Key West truly has something for everyone. A big thank you to Kevin from Out of Here Travel for joining me and sharing his travel knowledge. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to FunInKeyWest.com and Out of Here Travel. And as always, if you have any questions or need help planning your next Key West getaway, feel free to reach out. Until next time, keep chasing sunsets, savoring key lime pie, and living that island life.